Could you please share the best way to find a His signal and your tips for placing the pacing lead successfully?
Yes, so the His bundle pacing lead, we locate the His bundle signals using a unipolar method. So we don't use an electrophysiology catheter to find the His. So we connect the tip of the lead and in a unipolar fashion and move the sheath towards the tricuspid annulus. So when the lead is at the level of the atrium, you'll see a bigger atrial signal and smaller ventricular signal. That means you gently rotate the sheath clockwise and move it forward. And as you move towards the ventricular side, your atrial signal will get smaller and the ventricular signals will get better. At this point, you will normally see a His signal in between. So once you find the His signal, then you advance the lead forward, rotate it 1 or 2, 3 times, and recheck the His electrogram. If you have a good His electrogram, then you fix the lead by 5 to 6 turns, and you're pretty good at that spot.
Another question is regarding increasing pacing threshold over time for the His bundle pacing. What is your opinion about when and how to deal with that?
Yes, that's an important aspect of His bundle pacing follow-up. So I would say that in 90% of the patients, the pacing thresholds remain stable. But the most important thing is that you check the thresholds at 2 weeks in follow-up, and if it remains stable, then you need to see them again in another 2 or 3 months. And that is the time usually we see a change in threshold. And if there is an increase in threshold by more than 1 volt at any of the follow-up, then we bring the patient back within the next 2 weeks and see what happens. If the threshold continues to rise, especially in a dependent patient, then you have to make a decision. If it's about 3 volts, then that's not something good for long term. So then we bring the patient for a lead revision. But if it's a non-dependent patient who uses the lead infrequently, and even if a higher threshold, we can leave it and continue to watch them. And usually at 3 months and beyond, the threshold stabilizes. And you can find a situation where your threshold is 2 or 3 volts but remains stable, and it's unlikely to rise further. Then we accept that spot at that time. But if it continues to rise and in a dependent patient, then you have to electively reposition the lead at that point.